what the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of me reacting to ABC 2020 segment they did 5 years ago. The segment they called Scientology, A War Without Guns. So if you haven't seen part 1 and 2, just go back through my library and you will find those 2 videos there. And without further ado, let's get into this third installment.
Tell-all, Leah has now taken off the gloves completely.
Who are you working for?
Escalating her battle with Scientology as the paid executive producer and star of a new A&E series.
So how would you describe the show?
I would describe the show as a documentary on the abuses of the Church of Scientology.
Each episode finds the former sitcom star crisscrossing the country, harvesting tales of other disillusioned ex-church members.
And I went through hell. Unconditional love does not exist in Scientology.
I thought he was going to kill somebody.
Nobody deserves to have their family torn apart because of a belief system.
The church describes the show as anti-religious hate speech and has plenty more to say about Remini and her Confederates.
They sent us this box filled with documents, thumb drives with video.
I've seen the most disgusting comments on things towards Scientologists from people who have no idea what it is.
Look at it yourself and don't rely on some other third party to tell you about it.
All those charges and countercharges.
Okay, you guys, shout out to those Scientologists who Scientology ropes in to push back and sanitize their image. And let's just take these 2 people that came forward talking about you don't know what Scientology's about. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much, and shout out to both of y'all that went and did that video, because I really truly believe that you just made our point. What ABC News 2020 couldn't do in an hour segment with full unfettered access to the victims, you guys, shout out to you, made the point in the 4 or 3 seconds that was played of your video. Never mind that went right over the heads of those editors putting together this segment, went straight over their head. Because you know what? We could not agree with you more. If you don't know what Scientology is about, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know how to criticize it. You don't know what is what. But lucky for y'all, the 2 people that came forward to say that, some of us do know what Scientology is all about, did do the policies, did do the courses, did go in session, did get ethics handlings, did get sec check, did do all the things that L. Ron Hubbard was everyone do in his hotels, had everyone doing in his hotels. So I think that's a first reaction to make, because how is anyone going to have any critical thinking skills if they don't even know the subject? I mean, imagine if you guys go to a bookkeeper that has never heard about what a CPA does and has never heard of the infrastructures and the intelligence required and the knowledge base required, the intricacies that you need to know about the law, about accounting, about books, about what needs to go where and how and when and where does it get written and where does it get documented. All of those details, you guys, time and time again, these mainstream media reporters have shown that they are just basic bookkeepers, like entry level. And we're talking the top tier media that's been stabbing at the story and profiting a ton, that are at that basic bookkeeper level, because all they can do is write down something on a spreadsheet. And don't ask them to do anything else, because they wouldn't know what to do. In fact, if you do start asking them questions, they're going to look at you like you're crazy, like you have no idea what you're talking about. So those two entities are very dangerous together, right? Because once again, if in this country we have a system that purports to be about laws and rules and everyone equal under the law, and the media's there, you know, making money, making a lot of money, mind you, from getting access to stories that they know will be on the public's general interest. And guess what? Scientology has been a top tier public story interest. And not just because anyone outside is obsessed with it, you guys, because they went out of their way to recruit all manner of influencers. Shout out to Tom Cruise. Shout out to Nancy Cartwright. Shout out to John Travolta. Shout out to, and rest in peace, Christy Alley. So let's really just let that sink in, and let's keep watching this report.
Sometimes boiling over into open confrontation.
You're going to tell me that you're not a private investigator?
Dispatches from the front lines of a war without guns.
You said on the show that you actually feel responsible personally, given how much you did to promote the church.
I do have a responsibility. What I'm saying is, hey, you're abusing people, and then on top of that, you're victimizing your victims.
The people Remini calls victims are former church members who now say the church is essentially a totalitarian organization, pressuring members to spend lots of money for courses and books, to submit without question to the church's ethics and disciplinary codes, and indoctrinating them to believe that Hubbard's writings are infallible gospel.
You guys, it's really eye-opening to see this 5 years later, because yeah, shout out to ABC 2020 reporter Dan, who once again, you guys, Dan was given a lot of access, was given a lot of opportunities to, if he didn't know what subject he was covering, he was giving the opportunity to know, to learn, to understand. But there he is, deciding, him and his team at ABC 2020 decided, you know what, let's do a very unbiased report and put up here, just in the interest of having a very unbiased segment, how somebody that signs up for this hotel, L. Ron Hubbard, whatever it is that it is, are to submit themselves to the writings of this unindicted felon, which they keep failing to mention ever. None of them make a single shred of a mention that is a fact on the public record, which all those reporters could GTS and find right quick. I mean, it's been there forever, right? But they decided to give, I guess, this unindicted runaway felon you see on the screen, an amnesty, or what are we calling it? When we start not confronting the actual basic facts of the story of the man that you see on the screen there, an unindicted runaway felon that was hiding in a trailer when he purportedly died. So the media is putting there that we signed up to take those writings of this unindicted felon as a gospel. And where the hell did reporter Dan Harris get that talking point that this was a gospel? We never said the word gospel inside any of L. Ron Hubbard's hotels. But you know what, Dan, what we did say inside those hotels a lot, literally all the time, technology. See, Dan, it wasn't gospel. We never prayed. We never had to have faith. This was not about faith, Dan. As much as you pitch it there, because you want to make sure that your legal department is going to be so comfortable putting out this watered down, nothing to do with me, let's exploit all this trauma for our own profit legal department that runs ABC 2020, that knows best. All those lawyers that make God knows how much money to know best to end up with these type of irresponsible reporting that, you know, what is your excuse to gaslight yourself over the facts? What is your excuse to sanitize an unindicted runaway felon's image by just regurgitating Monique Yingling's talking point because she told you that they follow a gospel? It's like you can't just be running your mouth without knowing the facts. If you're going to be a multi-million-dollar purported journalistic outfit of sorts, because you know what? As survivors of this disgusting hotel experience, you know, the people that are stuck in the hotel, Dan and the rest of the ABC people, just think about it for a second. The people that are stuck in that hotel are under the spell of the man that I just paused the screen over, L. Ron Hubbard, right? What is your excuse? If y'all are not under that man's influence, what is your excuse to have no scruples or to have no critical thinking skills or to not know what the hell you're doing? Like, what is the excuse? Is it that it's just not that important? Is it just that, you know, you didn't see enough receipts? Is that what it was? Like, no matter how many things we show you, no matter how many policies prescribe the abuse, no matter how evident that is made to any of these people of the mainstream media, they're not in it to find the truth, you guys. And yeah, you can say Serge, but you know what? Welcome to reality. That's how it is. You know, mainstream media is broken. They don't do their job, blah, blah, blah. We're talking multi-million-dollar outfits here, you guys. So the mainstream media can play dumb with us as much as they want, and they can be corrupt as much as they want, and they cannot do their job as much as they want. I mean, who's reporting on the mainstream media? Who's making sure that their ethical guidelines aren't just a piece of like writing without a single shred of weight? Who's actually checking if these people are doing their jobs? Anybody? Does anybody hold them accountable? Does anybody push back? Does anybody question them? Or are they such experts? Are they such know-it-alls that they really know what they're doing and they really know how far they can say this or say that? Because even if that was the case, you guys, let's just say, Serge, stop being so hard on this mainstream media and just realize that, 5 years ago, there were no lawsuits. No second or third or fourth generation Scientologists had been taken seriously by attorneys that would take their cases on. It had just never happened in the history of the 73 years that Scientology's been around. Well, you know what did change in the last 5 years, you guys? Lawsuits were filed. Okay? Never mind that attorney Monique Yingling's personal client, David Miscavige, is not making himself available under any circumstances to be served. Guilty conscience, anyone? I mean, it's like, how much more do we have to capitulate to lies and to distorted, unscrupulous system of exploitation of trauma, of people that have been betrayed, defrauded by an institution that has never in its history been there to help its end users. And you know why? It wasn't because the people didn't have all the best intentions in the world, you guys. It was because the people, naivete. We're talking all of the adults. Let's advocate for them. Shout out to the first generation that signed up for L. Ron Hubbard's BS. Shout out to y'all. Your naivete was exploited. You were taken for a fool by the redhead unindicted felon pictured right here. And it appears to be that the media thinks that that is your personal fault for being so stupid. How could you have fallen for that? Like, doesn't it suck to be you? But again, we go back to the enablers cannot be the victims, right? Because why did the New York Times put L. Ron Hubbard's book on its New York Times bestseller for how many weeks? And how many millions of dollars does the New York Times have? How many lawyers, how many experts, how many people that have gone to school for investigative journalism in America? Like, we have a system surge. And you know what? Maybe we are too stupid, those who grew up inside that hotel. Maybe we are. Maybe we're just out of our mind crazy. But going back to the benefits of having been trained as an actual investigator inside of L. Ron Hubbard's hotels, let me just share something with the media that they did teach us in that hotel. They taught us how to pull strings, which means, just if none of y'all have ever heard that in any of your investigatory courses that you must have taken when you went to school, I mean, I would assume, what else could an investigation is? Or is it just like, get a statement from this one and then ask this one, that one, and then, okay, good, then just put it together and make money. Because that's where we are today. So let's end off with that. Let's all take a deep breath here to really think about the man you see on the screen right now. The unindicted runaway felon that everyone forgot was that, as they pitched him to the IRS, as a religious figure, as they pitched him to America as a religious figure, as they pitched him to the New York Times, as they pitched it to the ABC 2020, and all these supposed journalistic bodies that are supposed to have critical thinking skills. Because you know what? To investigate, you need critical thinking skills. If you don't have critical thinking skills, get out of that profession. That's not for you. Okay? So if you just gonna do zero due diligence, you know what? When people are spilling their guts to you and sharing their deepest, most horrific things that happen, and you don't do anything to help them, that's on you. That's not on the people that were in a cult, born and raised, left, trusted you as they left because you pretended to be the good guys, I guess, right? Like, oh yeah, we're here to help. We are here to expose. We're here to tell your story. So yeah, tell us all the details. How was it in there? What did you see? Who was doing what? What kind of receipts can you offer? How can we prove what you're saying is true? I'll see you guys